It's Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. We got a big game coming up this weekend, Champions League. It's Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Get involved in the chat throughout all of our conversation today, and plus stick around until the end for our betting expert tips. Who's got the edge between Arsenal and Bayern Munich? Nico Cantor, JayDee Dyer joining us for this one as well. Listen, JayDee, it's a big matchup. I know your heart is settled on one of these teams, but we've got an interesting new metric in order to evaluate how good these teams are, because it's a battle of two giants.
It is two giants. This is probably the two most elite teams in Europe, and probably can hang their heads in saying, when you look at the comparison of the two teams, they really do break down every single metric in terms of from intensity, in terms of advanced stats, in terms of attacking and defensively. These two teams really do beat every single metric when you're talking about the four components of football. And of course, you know, you always need to throw in possession as well. So I'm interested to dive into this, because today is really going to break down, like I said to you, two juggernauts, two elite teams, and two teams that are really doing it on both ends of the floor.
So we are going to look at the attack, the defense, the possession, the intensity, and see where Arsenal and Bayern land on this Z-score rating from 0 to 100. Our possible starting 11s for the match.
Break down the Bayern. I want to hear your thoughts on the Bayern 11.
Without a couple of key players, right? Mm-hmm. So first off, for Bayern, no Luis Diaz. That's a massive miss, obviously suspended because of that red card, that tackle against Hakimi. But this is basically the team, which probably means that Lennart Karl goes into the 11, Olise plays in a number 10 role, or Harry Kane drops a little bit deeper and Nico Jackson goes up top.
Which you think is a better lineup, just quickly, because looking at Nico Jackson and the threat that he could give, especially in behind to this back four, do you think that Nico Jackson should be given a nod? Yeah,
Nico Jackson could be an opportunity, especially that it doesn't give Saliba and Hincapié a reference on Harry Kane. So I'd be interesting to see what that 11 would be.
Looking at this 11 right here, this is really the way that Mikel Arteta has built his foundation. Trossard has increased his performances this year, especially after extending his new deal. Of course, Mikel Merino is a different, versatile player that can do absolutely everything on the pitch. Eze's had the best week in an Arsenal shirt that he's had probably since signing for the club. Declan Rice has been the embodiment of consistency. And this back four, everyone was questioning when Gabriel was absent, and we're definitely going to talk about his absentee in a second, but Hincapié has stepped into it almost effortlessly and seamlessly, and he knows all about this team in terms of from his time in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into the first metric, which is the attack in our Z-score. So production, we're considering goals and XG. Bayern obviously are the standard, 100 on this ranking. Ooh. Chance creations, transitions, and attacking set pieces. Bayern does have the edge in a lot of this, except for attacking set pieces. Duh, right? Arsenal are the standard in there. So when you look at the ranking, just in this attacking category, Bayern are top of that list.
I think you question mark one thing, and immediately the fans will look to this and ask themselves, is this a mistake in terms of, are you trying to say 11.5? Yeah, 11.5, because when you really break it down, Nico, how often are Arsenal in transition? Because of the way that they play, the style in terms of the absorbing into the final third, and the way that they want to squeeze players, especially in their final third. So I don't really see Arsenal in being a lot of transition, but they might have to adapt a lot of that if they are to be successful. Because when you start looking at the fast breaks and the breakdowns, you see how Bayern can be really quick in terms of front to back.
Yeah, I think a perfect example is this weekend, Spurs against Arsenal. How many times did Spurs just go, boom, get it out of here, boom, get it out of here?
Long ball.
There was not even an opportunity for Arsenal to press or to counterattack. It's like they're in control of the game, whereas Bayern, on the other hand, Bayern are comfortable without the ball a lot, and I think that's going to be a key factor in the match.
Oh, so then I'm interested to know what you think. Do you think you're going to see a different style from Bayern this year? Because when you see their possession stats, they're used to dominating games. We've seen them in the Bundesliga for a number of times. Ball possession is one thing, field tilt is another. But when you actually do the eye test and you watch how they almost suffocate teams in terms of the way they control possession, the way that they dominate you, especially in the areas in which they can be effective, I think Bayern will have to maybe make a slight adjustment, because this might be the best opposition that they've played so far in their calendar overall. And Arsenal, you can see average in terms of their opponents, they're not really used to a lot of teams absorbing or dominating possession in any which way, and their passing accuracy, as you can see, is a lot lower. So looking at the two teams in terms of the opposition that Arsenal have usually faced to the teams that they're facing in terms of this Wednesday, wow. It's going to be an interesting way in terms of Mikel Arteta and his defensive foundation that he's built, and whether or not they can sit up to this test.
Absolutely, and I wonder how much of the ball Bayern is going to give to Arsenal, and vice versa, right? a good sample size would have been the PSG game, right? Because those are two teams that like to have the ball, that like to dictate. But because of the red card, the dynamic of the game shifted a little bit. So Bayern perhaps will say to Arsenal, hey, you can have the ball because we're comfortable without it.
See, me and Nico are so used to just being kind of cool within this. Like, we just kind of break these stats down, go through these numbers, and allow you, of course, in the comments to decide whether or not you side with Nico's side or my side, and usually we're on the same side as well. But today we're going to go a bit back and forth, because when you really look at it in the possessions and the field tilt, Nico, I'm a bit concerned about the progressive passes that you're seeing from Arsenal in the final third, because Harry Kane is so versatile, arguably the best player in world football right now, in terms of what he does, whether it's in the false nine or leading the line by himself. So are you concerned at all? Or are you smiling when looking at the way that Bayern can utilise their strengths, especially in the final third?
Yeah, with a lot of these stats, I think we're going to be splitting hairs. But because that metric right there is such a stark contrast, it is kind of crazy to think. But then again, you go back to this whole Bayern without the ball. Look at their Klassiker, where Harry Kane is dropping so deep. Look at where Bayern start playing out of the back. Harry Kane on a turn, playing players into space. Whereas Arsenal, because they like having the ball so much, they're playing further up the field. So percent of forward passes might be less. Passes forward per game, a lot less, because they are suffocating opponents. They are dictating games. They are placing much closer to their opposition's goal.
I love this, and in fact, I'm really happy that Martin Odegaard is on the graphic, because I think this could be a massive opportunity for the captain to re-establish himself. Whether he starts or he comes off the bench, these are the type of factors in which he could really impact this game, especially when you talk about passes forward. People be sleeping on Martin, and people questioning his form, and rightfully so, because of the standards he set for himself as the Arsenal captain. But this is the metric in which he can really dictate and impact overall, the final third entries especially. Eze is one thing in terms of in the 10 position, but Odegaard is another. But since we're on the talk of players that can change the game, a player that I know you've been focused on, right? Lennart Karl, because I know that he's a bit special. I know I really want to talk about the wonder kids that are coming from England, but you have to also talk about the wonder kids that come from Germany too. Yeah,
especially without Luis Diaz. I wonder what type of role Lennart Karl is going to have if he does start. But every time he steps onto the field, he's been very good. Obviously, these are sample sizes per 90. It's an average. Just considering that he doesn't play that much, these numbers are boosted, but it does come to show you that every time that he does come onto the field, he does a really good job. But now let's shift our focus into the defensive side of things and compare Arsenal and Bayern as we start to realize which team is closer to that 100 mark in our Z-score rating. Shot suppression, goalkeeping. Following up, last line of defense, and obviously we would think that Arsenal is near to the top here because this is their bread and butter, right? They are probably the standard in most defensive categories.
I would say so too. In terms of the standards, and this is where the Arsenal fans start entering the conversation in the comments, right? Because the foundation that Mikel Arteta has set for this team has been built on solidity, has been built on consistency, and has also been built on depth. Because it doesn't matter who steps out of that back four or back five, including David Raya, they seem to be able to keep the consistency in terms of what the ethos for this team is. There is no shots. There is real pride in terms of taking control in the defensive unit, and most importantly, they've become the standard now. That's why they're at 100. In terms of across Europe, it isn't just me saying it anymore. The stats are proving it. They are the best team in Europe with defensively anyway.
My question is, though, out of all these numbers, I'm looking at defending set pieces on the Bayern side of things. Ooh. And from 0 to 100, it ranks at 47.3 among Europe's top 5 teams. And when we know that we're talking about set pieces, Arsenal are king in Europe. So that is concerning. You look at XG against in set pieces for Bayern, 3.02 when you exclude penalties. And from those 3.02 XG against on set pieces, they've conceded 8. That might be an area of concern for this match.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to focus on this man right here, Nicolas Jova, because sometimes you see him on the sideline, you see Arteta give him a hug after set pieces, and there's a reason for it. Because this is the genius that has really transitioned Arsenal from being that team that was fragile at set pieces. You remember the question marks against Stoke or Burnley or Brentford. Well, this guy has had his experience at Manchester City, had his experience at Brentford, and has come now and transformed this team both offensively and defensively in terms of set pieces. pieces. There's a reason why they are so elite. Now, they are missing one key component. We talked about Lucho Diaz earlier. You heard my boy Nico make reference to him. Another South American that's going to be missing from this fixture, of course, is Gabriel, who's been the heartbeat of Arsenal's defence overall, regardless in terms of the dominance that he's had in both boxes. I haven't really seen it since John Terry in terms of the control in being able to dictate what happens in both of those boxes.
The fearlessness.
The fearlessness, the aggression, the dedication to win every single ball.
It's incredible.
It's inside of here. And I understand the South American pride. I get it now. I get it now, Nico, because there's an element of desire that comes with him that he breathes into the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, and obviously not having him either on the first header or the second header, the way that he crashes into any cross that Declan Rice serves, it's pretty incredible. So they'll have to make up for that type of loss because Gabriel Magalhães is next level when it comes to winning duels in the air. All right, our last metric, intensity. And we want to compare Arsenal and Bayern when it comes to pressing. It's possession won in the final third. Obviously, Arsenal having the ball a lot means that they don't lose it, whereas Bayern, going back to this whole playing in transition game, duels, tackles, interceptions, foul avoidance, foul avoidance for Arsenal. And both of these teams with this intensity drop off a little bit, and I think this goes to show you the control that both these teams exercise with the opposition that they face.
I want to add one more factor, which is not seen here in terms of that can lift intensity. Home factor, big game factor. Wednesday the 26th is going to be a massive night. And you saw what happened in terms of on the weekend and how the Emirates almost added an extra flavour to Arsenal's play. Every tackle, every drive, every press was just raised up in terms of the level of intensity. Well, I expect to see it again. I've seen some magical Champions League nights in North London. Barcelona comes to mind. Juventus comes to mind. There's a number of things that the fans can add in terms of overall when you're talking about the intensity, the progression and the pressing that comes with this factor. So I know what the stats say. The eye test says it as well, though. The extra man could be the fans.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I'm thinking of a player that Bayern don't have, and we've talked about Luis Diaz. One of the best things that he has shown this season is the pressing, especially when you lose the ball. He regains it in the attacking third. So that's going to be a big miss because a lot of these metrics are driven forward for Bayern. It is because of Luis Diaz. But let's compile all of these stats together and see on our Z-score rating where these teams rank. Bayern above Arsenal on attack, Arsenal, of course, above Bayern on defense, and then Bayern gets the edge in possession and intensity. We add them all up, and our final score is, and this is Europe's top 5 teams. We are really splitting hairs. Bayern is top. Bayern is the standard at 100. Arsenal at 94.7. Top tier matchup. It doesn't get better than that.
So here's the harder question. Forget the stats for a second, right? Because we do the eye test on this show as well. Who's your heart going with? Who's going to win on Wednesday? Put it out there.
Bayern, I think.
Ooh, well, I'm going to turn around and say I think a win is going to be happening in North London. I think the intensity, the form, and also, more importantly, the absence of Lucho Diaz is going to be massive for Bayern. So I think overall, I think you could see Arsenal topping the table when it comes down to the end of the game.
If I had to put money on it, I would say Bayern win or draw.
It's so interesting you say money on it, because I know one person that we can definitely make reference to, right? You know who it is.
Okay.
It's time. Buckets. We need a little bit expertise in the building. And all for reference, the Bayern flag over Buckets really tells you in terms of where his allegiance is straight away. But how are you feeling?
I'm feeling nervous, if I can be honest with you, JD. I still was able to find a couple bets here. I want to be respectful of you. I want to be respectful of the Gunners. But this is such a tough game to bet on. I found a couple wagers I'm going to share with you guys. I'd love to know your opinions on these. And the first bet I'm going with here is, frankly, just betting on goals. I'm going with both teams to score in this fixture and over 2.5 goals at plus 105. I know that Arsenal are the defensive standard. They're this incredible team, and they are a wall when they're playing at home. But they haven't had to play the attack of Harry Kane and Michael Olise yet. Missing Luis Diaz is a very, very big impact, but Bayern Munich doesn't play slow football. They play a very high line, and under Vincent Kompany, this is a team that just presses and presses and presses. If you're going to beat Bayern Munich, you don't get to beat them by playing for a cagey 1-0 kind of matchup. It's going to take goals. Meanwhile, I watched Bayern Munich in Bundesliga play dismantle Freiburg 6-2, but both of the goals they conceded were on corner kicks. Bayern is terrible at defending corner kicks, so they're going to struggle against Arsenal. So I really just like betting on goals in this one. That way I don't have to choose a side yet here, guys. Do we like goals at the very least.
I like that. I like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I love how he served it up with a yet. Hey, I welcome goals. You guys are the ones that have your heart on the line. I'm whipping out the popcorn and just watching. I'm enjoying this one. Go ahead, Buckets. What else you got for us?
For my second bets, and I'm going to show my bias here a little bit, I'm looking for a player prop. And I know that everybody wants to bet on Harry Kane because he's Harry Kane. I know that everybody wants to bet on Eze right now, especially coming off of that North London derby. But when I'm looking at a player that I'm trusting with my hard-earned money, I'm actually looking at Michael Olise here because we're getting, frankly, kind of a weird and I think incorrect line when I'm looking at him. Olise to score or assist in this fixture is plus 200. 2-1 odds for a guy who has 12 Bundesliga contributions and already has 3 Champions League contributions. Again, I don't have to pick a winner by playing this, but I do think that Olise, without Diaz available, is going to have to really step up and help carry some of that extra weight. And with Gabriel missing for this Arsenal side, again, I just think we're going to see goals here, guys. So why would I not bet Olise at plus 200?
Ooh. Hey, Buckets, what about a side bet between me and you? Dinner for the losing team? The losing team, obviously, the fan has to buy dinner. What are you thinking?
I will absolutely do that. What happens in the case of a draw, though?
We scratch it off and we just go for dinner anyway.
We scratch it? I love it. I love it. I will absolutely make that bet with you.
Okay.
JayDee.
All right, Buckets. Well, good luck to you, JayDee. Good luck to you as well. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm enjoying. This is a neutral's dream. Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Wow, Champions League. You ready?
Ready.
This is Numbers Don't Lie. Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.